Hi, I'm Yapped, and this is Yoked.
I'd like to see your mouth do something else, though.
This mouth does his dog shit.
This is Yapped, and that's Yoked. I'm Yapped. You're Yoked. You're Yapped. She's a Yap. I'm a Yoked.
You had two parents that loved you growing up.
I tricked her into marrying me.
I'm mic'd up, so anything stupid I say goes on the internet. I need attention or I'll die.
The codependent fuck.
I don't like the clap.
We got to do the clap. You can edit the clap out.
I know, but it gives me an ick.
Why?
Just does.
Sometimes you make no sense to me whatsoever.
I thought you were going to say sometimes you give me the ick.
There's also that. But
tell everyone what your favorite ick thing about me is.
No, you start the episode. We have to start the episode. So, welcome to episode 2 of Yapped and Yoked. She's yoked. I'm just yapped today because I'm frail.
Well, we're back. It's Sunday and we're both dragging ass, which is beautiful.
At least you have more ass to drag than I do. My ass is just getting sore sitting down nowadays.
My glute maxing is glute maxing.
Oh my god, glute maxing I think is a fine entirely phrase, but looks maxing is the thing that's like the trend now, or
I'm
like
max everything.
That's a person.
I'm a yap max. I'm a yoke max. I'm a glute max.
I know, but like the looks maxing thing is like a trend. There's a person on I think Twitch who goes by looks maxing or whatever.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those people where it's like, cool. If I saw you in public, like didn't even know who you were, you just have that type of face where it's like, I just want to hit you, and not like for any like just very strictly that Step Brothers scene where it's like.
You're referencing something I've never seen in my life.
Yeah, so let's just dive into that really quickly. I think that's a perfect moment. So I'm going to finish my thought.
Okay.
That looks maxing motherfucker is definitely the type of guy where that Step Brothers scene, it's like, there's just something about your face. I want to fucking punch you in the face. And like, there's nothing you can do about it, but I just want to punch you in the fucking face.
That's how I feel every time I roll over in bed.
Not every time, because like there's usually
like 3 to 5 times. My eyes are closed.
Well, I was gonna say there's usually 3 to 4 hours a night where one of us is on the couch.
Oh yeah, that's true. Not because we have marital issues, but strictly because
we have sleeping issues.
Bodybuilding baby.
On that same note, this is super tangential and just an idea I had earlier, and this is not anything for the podcast. Selling the recliner and the couch and getting a super cozy sectional for that movie room.
He's talking dirty to me on the pod. That's crazy.
Bro, it would be so nice to have like a big cushy couch in there, just like fucking sink into for a nap and sink into if we have to sleep again, or like fit the room a little bit better with an L-shaped sectional in there. That would be so nice. But anyway, that's money we don't have in a sale of furniture that we don't want to do right now. On
another note of tangential, every time Connor says tangential, I don't even know if that's a real word, but I just think genitals.
It's math related. You learned it in algebra.
I promise you I didn't.
You had to take the class. It's a national requirement. So you took it either your junior or senior year of high school. And there's the tangent, the cosine, and the sine, referencing angles of a triangle, or often just referencing angles in general.
So one thing about me.
Tangential means like something runs alongside something else or next to.
I don't think I've taken a math class in sophomore year of high school.
You were required to take it through junior year. I almost went into teaching. You were required to take it into junior year.
I was homeschooled that year.
Okay, so you actually might have been the one person who was able to scapegoat that. But anyway, back to our very important tangent of a conversation. Summer doesn't like movies with a budget, meaning if the budget for a film is
greater than or equal to $5 or more.
Yeah, like if you have like a really old Dunkin' Donuts gift card that may have like $3.34 left on it in your glove compartment of your car, that gift card is the budget required to make a movie that Summer enjoys and that she'd actually watch.
You're like, there's an actor in this movie that more than 7 people have ever heard of? What?
But yes, 99% of movies, that's her MO for enjoyment criteria. But funny enough, the past like two past movies we've recently seen in the past year had like the highest budgets ever in filmmaking, and she loved both of them. That was the F1 film with Brad Pitt, and then most recently the Hail Mary movie with Ryan Gosling.
So the other fun thing is like every time I watch a movie or read a book, I have a new career path. So like in the past 12 months, I've also become an F1 driver and a astronaut.
Yeah. You also became an astronaut when you read that book, Atmosphere.
Yeah, dude, if you haven't read that book, I'm like, I just want to go to space. And to be quite honest, I actually really don't want to go to space. I feel like that's the one that hasn't grabbed me by the throat. But every time we watch like a crime show or something, I'm like, make me a lawyer. Make me a detective. Yeah. How do I get into Harvard Law right now?
Yeah. I will say, though, it's pretty disappointing you don't want to go to space, though, in reality, because there's some days where I'm like, cool, I could just ship you off to the stratosphere, have you do like one lap around the Earth and bring you back down and be like, cool. Had a little break.
I'm not afraid of much, but space.
Oh, space is terrifying.
Space scares me. Like, if they were like, gun to your head, you're going to the moon tomorrow, gun to your head, there's a hotel on Mars, I'm like, pull the trigger.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that. Space is terrifying.
And honestly, I was not one of those people that was afraid of the ocean ever. But the more I learned that we don't learn about the ocean, I'm like, maybe.
You know what's even scarier than that? The millions and millions and millions of square miles of Amazon rainforest we know even less about than, I don't know. I wonder, actually, that's a really curious Google search. What do we know less about? The depths of the ocean or
my father's emotions?
And that's the episode, everybody. So on that note, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to call my therapist and... You
don't have one? She graduated you?
Yeah, I did graduate from therapy, which is pretty
so
stellar.
Connor went to one session of therapy. Two sessions of therapy. And I was like, great, he has an hour. I'm going to go to the Wawa that is literally 1 mile away and grab a drink. And I got halfway to Wawa and he said, hey, where are you? I'm done my session. I was like,
how?
What? Ow. And he was like, she said that's it. We've unpacked everything.
I'm sure there was more that
There's
could have been
30 years of history on this earth, and you mean to tell me?
I sat there and reflected on like the shit she was asking me to think on. I'm like, as a 30-year-old who's already processed so much of it, like, yeah, I could get into detail about some of the things that like I experienced in middle school and high school, but at this point in my life, I'm like, that shit doesn't affect me. I recognize it. I can talk about it. I can reflect on it. I've processed it. But like talking about the way my dead ex-girlfriend treated me in high school and how that spilled into like how I treated other people, like I know all those faults. I know those trials and tribulations I went through. I don't need to like sit there and be like, oh yeah, she cheating on me traumatized me and now I'm crying as a 30-year-old man.
If I could process emotions the way Connor does, I'd literally...
Oh, I'd be a stay-at-home fucking husband who just...
He'd be a stay-at-home billionaire. Like, yeah. I don't even know what I would be able to accomplish. I looked at Connor this morning because...
You'd be president.
We were discussing some things that are going on in the background and I was like, wait, without 3 hours a day of panic attacks... I'm going to be so powerful.
Super fucking hero. Okay, let's use that as a segue.
Wait, but really quick, I just wanted to say on the note, Connor has always referred to his dead ex-girlfriend as his dead ex-girlfriend, and I jokingly referred to myself as Svetlana the other day, and in the first time in 12 years of us being together, learned that his dead ex-girlfriend's name is Svetlana. And I'm still processing it, so I need therapy.
Her birth name is Svetlana. She was adopted from Russia.
They should have left her in Russia.
Her American name was Alex.
Okay, thank you. I did know her name was Alex. When you were like, that's my dead ex-girlfriend's name, I was like, I must have literally gotten amnesia, baby.
No, you did know this because remember when you met Emily Seppa?
Yeah.
She came when she was like, yeah, we always trashed on his girlfriend at the time when he was still with her. And she went by Sveti on Instagram.
Sweaty balls.
And that's what,
here we go.
That's what Mikey and Emily would call her, is Sveti balls. And every time she pop up on my phone, is that Sveti balls? Like, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well, you can go back to your segue now that I've lost the plot.
No longer a segue, and we got to relocate the plot somewhere.
Connor's really good at bringing it back around, so we'll get there.
Yep, a couple left-hand turns, and we come back to the point.
Yeah, a lot of left-hand things.
Oh, a lot of left-hand things. But I think today we were talking about dinks. not dicks. Dinks.
I identify as a dink.
Dual income, no kids. And with a hashtag, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
I think that's important to add.
I think something we wanted to talk about, because I feel like we're at that age, you know?
We're 30. We are at that age.
Don't remind me. That's crazy. Everyone's like, especially as bodybuilders, like, you guys gonna slow down and have kids? You gonna have kids? Are we gonna get grandkids? When are you guys? And I'm like, pump the brakes. I cannot ruin this body.
It's only and all about that and nothing
And that's
else.
honestly the end of the episode, because the trail of thought for children stops at, I can't be pregnant. I'm a teenager.
That is accurate for you. Every fucking month. Oh, I escaped teen pregnancy. It's like, bitch, you've been out of teen pregnancy possibilities for 11 and a
I'll
half
tell
years.
you what, though, that teen moms, they did exactly what they needed to do to scare the fuck out of me for my entire life. Because
Well, at least to the point where you and I still hear about friends getting pregnant and we're like, wait,
is that a good thing?
is that okay? No, it's acceptable now. You're not. You want to
congratulate them?
Yeah. Okay. Congrats.
need a ride?
Congrats with a question mark.
The laws in Florida aren't great, but I will fly with you for whatever you need.
For our
Sponsored by Planned Parenthood.
For our household, it is a consistent high five and a fuck yeah. We did it every month.
Like, babe, I have great news.
She gets her period.
He's like, what? I'm like, I'm bleeding. He's like, awesome,
Love
phenomenal.
it and hate it at the same time.
Love it.
Glad that we're here again.
The one thing about us is there's just such little boundaries that Connor knows. He knows it all.
Yeah,
He can't
there's
escape it either.
no such thing as TMI in most references of that. But I think dinks is a good conversational topic, though, for a lot of people in terms of people looking at social media couples and they like advertise as dinks, and then also other like younger couples looking at older couples who are now having kids. Other older couples such as us, we have a pair of friends. We have a pair of friends who are similar age range to us, and they're in the same mindset of being dinks for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
But I think for us, like, where does, other than the jokingly, I can't ruin this body, like, where does that stem from for you?
So, if you were to ask my mom, like, I remember her very distinctly telling me years ago, like, oh, when you were a kid, you never wanted to play teacher or mom or whatever, when all the girls were like doing that, and like you were like, absolutely not, and you wanted nothing to do with it. And I was like, meh, she'll grow out of that. And then as a teenager and things, like, I feel like the conversation does start that young, like, oh, are you like, do you want to be a mom one day? Do you want kids one day? Do you like? And I was like, no. And then I will say, like, there was a stint where Connor and I were earlier in our relationship, and I was like, well, I never really wanted kids, but I could see myself having kids with you. Like, being a parent with you would be fine. We would be good parents. And I would say there's probably like, what, a year and a half where we were like, yeah, we want kids. And I'll be honest, like, even during that time, I took like looks at bodybuilding and was like, yeah, that'll probably be my last prep, because I don't want to compete once I'm a mom, for no reason other than like, that's hard, and mad respect to them. Not that I couldn't do it, but don't quite want to. And then we released, I don't know how the conversation turned back around, but I think one day we were just both kind of like, so about that.
Well, no, because like, I think there was like a 4-month stint where every time you and I were out in public, and I don't think we were even like focused on bodybuilding at the time.
No, we weren't.
So I'm not even going to point towards it being like dieting. I'm not going to point towards it being focused on bodybuilding, and definitely not PED related.
Right.
But there was like a 4-month stint where every fucking time we heard friends talking about their kids, or we saw people with kids out in public and how they were acting, and we're like, I don't fucking want that.
Yeah.
And like, not in this, like, yeah, it sounds terrible, but I'm sorry. If I'm out at Armature Works and it's 3 p.m., I'm trying to enjoy some time with my wife, I don't want to be dealing with a screaming kid in a fucking shitty diaper.
Yeah.
And
listen, I'm not like, I get that parents are in situations where they're mortified and they're like, God, I feel so bad. I know that that's the case for most parents. I'm not like, you guys suck. But like, quite frankly, if it's my decision, I ain't listening to it. And I'm definitely not bringing it into my home to have to listen to it, deal with it, clean it, wash it, feed it, listen to it scream, put it to bed. and then raise it for
18 years.
18 years.
And what is it now? It's like 300.
With no guarantees
like
that they'll leave.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars now
God.
to raise a kid from age 1 to college.
I'm sure it's more than that, to be honest.
I can't remember if it hit $1 million or if it's like just under $1 million.
No, I was going to say, I think it's like $1 million at least.
Insane.
I mean, and then I would say like a major factor is just like the climate of the United States, and like that was another huge thing that we always talked about. I'm like, I don't want to raise a kid in this society. Like all the other pieces of my life that I don't want affected aside. The world's scary enough for me.
There's not a single part of the world. Like if you and I had kids, I would want to overhaul our entire life to be almost the opposite of what it is now, where it's like, cool, we're going to go live in a nice small rural area. We're going to live like 5 miles outside of town. We're going to be on a property where the kids are forced to be outside. We're going to escape a lot of the niceties that we typically like.
And to be clear, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work differently. We're gonna have to operate differently. We're gonna have to change what you and I like entirely just to accommodate a kid that, that would be the right thing to do to give that kid the best opportunity to grow up in the climate of the world. However, one, most people don't have the option to do that. We're lucky where we would get that. But then two, you have to want to do that. Like, I don't
You don't just do that for an oopsie.
I don't want to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to have a kid. And then in 9 months, we have to plan for our entire life to be overhauled so that way we can have peace of mind that we're raising our child in an environment and a location that we think is going to be healthily conducive to raise a fucking human. And then, okay, cool, let's just tack another $3 million on that because, that's what it costs to raise that thing.
The other thing is, like, I wouldn't want to be a helicopter parent, but I feel at this day and age you literally have to, because if it's not the danger in schools, the danger in other households, because you don't know what's happening when these kids are having sleepovers and you hear these horror stories, and then just like the world itself, it's like I would literally be the mom with the fucking kid on the leash, and I would be like, fuck it, you know what? I finally get those parents.
I mean, shit, you
think I love my dog?
You even text me at the Wawa parking lot that you're just scared to get out of the car yourself in most instances because of just who's parked there, the homeless people outside, the people walking in and out.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Well, if my wife is nervous to walk in and out of Wawa on her own, okay, now it's my wife and a 2-year-old
Which
child.
makes them even more of a target, to be honest.
So again, it's like we would have to upheave our entire life to fit it into a mold where it's like, cool, now I have peace of mind to raise my kid this way.
And I lose every other part of me.
And it's like, cool, we've lost all the things that we like as individuals now, and that would be something we'd have to choose. But that's where you end up weighing the pros and cons, and that's where you end up also looking at, like, cool, do you want to have a kid because the kid is all you care about? Like, that's going to be your most fulfilling thing in life? And that was never going to be the case for me, to be honest. Or do you want your life to be fulfilling? And then your kid fits into that fulfillment. But that's not the case for most things and most individuals and most people. I would
say, like, if you have, God, there's so many factors, but like for sure there's people that make it work and they have probably like a lot of flexibility within their job, or they own their own business and they have the income to support that, and like a really good community around them. Because like I know parents our age for sure that's like, parents would be like, yeah, give me the kid for a week happily, no questions asked. But also those parents aren't working, like they have the ability to take an infant for 7 days, like just things that, like, that was the other thing, like I don't want to move back to the Northeast. And like I love your family, I would love to be closer to them and see them more often, but I also would not like to experience the snow ever in my life again. Also, if you ever see us do this, it just means our Bluetooth synced.
Yeah, because I was very literally just about to bring up the fact that if we did have a kid, we'd want to move closer to family, and we don't want to, or to be able to raise it healthily. And I don't want to move back to New York whatsoever. I don't want to move to that tri-state area of the Northeast whatsoever. And even if you reflect on my upbringing, where Summer will agree, everyone will agree, I'm the weird one because I had parents and a family who all loved each other.
They still do, which is even crazier.
Like,
they love me too, which is like traumatizing. I'm like, guys.
I had such a lucky and fortunate upbringing because my grandparents lived 800 feet down the road.
If you spit like real hard, you're at their house.
From my parents' house to my grandparents' house. And like my parents having the ability and the assistance from both sets of grandparents too. It wasn't just one.
Right.
Where like Mima and Pa are 800 feet down the road, but Nana and Papa for the majority of my life were just a 10-minute drive down into Hurley, and they would be over all the fucking time.
Yeah. And I'll say like going up to that area reminds me that like there are still small parts of the world that exist where like I would let my kids run around there at the young age of whatever and be like, be home by, I mean, maybe not to that degree, like be home by 8 p.m. But like, I mean, I feel like there you probably could almost get away with it.
My parents' neighborhood is still in that way. And that's why they picked that neighborhood for me to grow up in, where that was the case. Like, okay, be back at 9.
But I'll tell you what, like living here in Tampa, I don't even as an adult woman feel safe. There's not neighborhoods where I would even walk without having, like if I had headphones on, forget about it. I'd be terrified.
Yeah. I mean, you and I just haven't looked into like legitimate neighborhoods before,
no,
though,
but like
we've just
if
been
you think about
apartment living this whole time.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I feel like I can't leave the house on a solo mission without some sort of travesty.
Yeah, nine times out of 10, I get a text message from her 15 minutes after she leaves the house, like, I'm never leaving again without you because people are fucking creepy. Yeah. That was my favorite when we got new phones last year, and she went up to grab me Chipotle, and I was still down at the Verizon.
I was still in the damn mall.
It was in the mall. I was in the Verizon store dealing with the guy.
I was on level 2.
She ran up to grab me food, and by the time she got up to the second floor, she had already texted me like, there's 2 fucking creepy men already trying to talk to me, and I haven't even been away from you for 2 whole fucking minutes. And I'm like,
scary man privilege is like the ultimate privilege, but when you're not with scary man and you have to actually put your brain on, that's terrible.
Actually have to fucking pay attention to your surroundings again.
Yeah.
But that also, to the point, like, wouldn't want to have to deal with that when you have a kid on your hand.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I come back to all the time is we've discussed in length moving out of the country at one point in our life, but if that were to never happen, I don't foresee me leaving Tampa. Highly unlikely, or at least like the greater Tampa Bay area, Tampa, St. Pete, etc.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just not.
No.
It's another reason it's probably not in the cards.
No.
But and you guys have probably heard this quote before, or maybe you haven't. But like Connor's grandma finally stopped asking when Connor was like, "We would be good parents, we would not be happy parents," and that was kind of like the period at the end of the sentence where she finally was like, "Oh, okay.
I get it. Yeah. And I think that's the big thing too, that more parents or more couples who are electing to willfully have children, they need to ask themselves that. And then also more couples need to reflect on their adult capabilities and their own what are the possibilities of if we have kids, what does that look like for the next 10 to 20 years? And like, where are we right now? How does that fit into our life in 9 months?
Yeah.
And then reflecting on it, are we in the best position to be parents to raise the best possible child? Like, is there any of that reflection happening? Not nearly enough.
Yeah.
So we reflected enough to say, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
And I think being dinks is the move to be made.
It's lit. Yeah, I think a lot of people, like, you could look at my childhood in 2 ways. Like, a lot of people that grew up with, like, not super healthy households, if we want to call it that, would be like, yeah, I want to build my own family and, like, rewrite that story. And I feel like the whole other side to that is like, no, I'm good. Like, I have peace of mind. I have a healthy relationship now. I don't want to bring any factors in there that could potentially bring that subject to change. And, like, I mean, kids can change everything. And I'm very, very, I mean, content is not even a fair word. I'm like overly enthusiastically happy with my life at this time. And so I'm good on putting a wrench in that and letting the universe decide if it stays that way or not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's where we stand. And we stand on dinks. But the other thing we wanted to talk about, which is kind of a good segue, is that our life is so good and peaceful right now, and I would say it always has not been that way because we've really been strategic in being very selective about who gets our energy, our time, and
where we place that, and that has been established.
It's a constant conversation, though.
Oh, for sure. But
I
that
mean,
was
even with that
after
recent going on with the person in your friend group where I was like, are we gonna keep that person around?
Yeah. But
So
we learned early on in our relationship, there was a 2-year stint where
roughly, yeah.
where there was some individuals in our lives that were very toxic. They were in a relationship themselves.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to handle their relationships themselves. They didn't know how to handle their own mental health themselves. They had drug problems. And for the immediate first 2 years of our relationship, we were friends with them individually. Then we were friends with them as a couple. And through a lot of their own trials and tribulations where they just kept making poorer and poorer and poorer decisions, which then trickled very much into our life, affecting us directly.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that it never directed us in terms of like our relationship was not affected by it, but our bandwidth was certainly affected by it. And then housing an individual while there's like a storm breakup happening, just realizing like, yeah, man, your energy is precious. And you obviously, like, I think this is the thing that me and Connor struggle with the most because we're both such like givers. And the one quote I always think about is like the givers have to be thoughtful because the takers aren't. And like we've definitely found ourselves in so many settings where like we've lent money, we've lent help, we've lent bandwidth, we've lent our ear, and then it's like abuse of that until we're pouring from like a completely empty cup. And it's like, damn, is that even worth it? Like, I want friends, but like, at what cost, you know?
I think too, though, as adults in this generation of things, it's very difficult where
there's so much expectation too.
There's expectation, but there's so much, I think, confusion. Like, if you look at a handful of 24 to 30-year-olds, all of them are going to have different perspectives on what it looks like to be a real adult. Yeah. Especially coming out of Tampa, where a 26-year-old can be making 6 figures because they're posting stuff online. And then the next 27-year-old can be making multi-6 figures because they're posting themselves naked online. And then the next person's making e-commerce, but then the 3 after that are barely scraping by, but they all call themselves adults and look at each other equivalently.
And of course, that's not just a Tampa thing, but I think what makes Tampa so like prevalent with that is so many people here are, you know, they're not from here, they're transplants. And a lot of like, because Tampa grew so quickly during like, I would say post-COVID to like the last year, I think it's finally like settled down a little bit.
Last year, I think it was the first year it slowed down.
But, you know, there's so many socioeconomic differences, and there's a lot of draw to Tampa for like the party scene. The living here is really nice.
The influencing scene, the
bodybuilding scene. And so you're getting people, I mean, and I'm in that Tampa Bay girls group. If you follow me, you've seen like I've posted some crazy shit from that group. But you know, the amount of posts I see every single day that are like, I just moved here, I can't find a job. I moved here without a job. I'm thinking of moving down there without a job. And it's like, stop doing that because you're not going to find a job here. Like, I'll tell you that. I know people that have been searching for jobs for 2 years here. Like,
oh, really?
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's crazy. They say that the Tampa job market's like one of the worst in the country. Oh. And so, yeah, like a lot of people here are entrepreneurs, and that is great. I mean, that's wonderful, obviously, and having autonomy is wonderful, but like that could mean so many things. That could mean influencing. It could mean content creation. It could mean OnlyFans. It could mean a lot of them sell insurance, and it's like you get these people that like, I mean, you only have to be good at one thing to make a lot of money sometimes, and sometimes it's like they don't have any of their shit figured out, but they can respond to OnlyFans messages, and it's like they're lending on you for like emotional support or advice, and you're just like, bro, I'm running a fucking whole ass business.
Think about it. In the past like 2 years, like we lent one of your friends $1,200 that it took 2 years to get back,
and I lent threats of court.
I lent somebody some PEDs. I still haven't seen that $200. Yeah. Or when I say lent, I mean tried to sell, but they just never paid me whatsoever.
And that's why we aren't givers anymore. I mean, that's a lie. It depends. So circumstantial, but I find myself like being really hesitant on helping people these days. And if you've gotten help from me, know that you must mean a lot to me, because I think Connor's a little less scarred than I am.
Yeah, because I'm the one who's at least confrontational on the back end to make whatever it is right that somebody does wrong by us.
if that were the case, that one particular person who owes you money for those peds would
He will never have $200 to pay me because he's a broke 35-year-old who doesn't have money. So it's not
money
even
to bodybuild.
Apparently. But outside of that, what was I going to say there, though?
We're very selective about our people these days, and sometimes to a fault, because I love you so much. We spend every waking minute together, but sometimes I'm like, wow, I could really use like a female at this moment. And then Connor has to literally go cross-dress to be my girlfriend. But
I at least get some guy time each week on Fridays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Little meathead time.
I just put my bro cap on and I'm like, sup, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Dap
that
up the bro.
But I think that, I really, like, just to tie that all together, though, being selective and not critical, but just careful of who you let in your lives as a couple is something that will, one, have a profound impact on your relationship health, because then you don't have others in there influencing or causing drama or being negative in the relationship or to one or the other, or venting to one person in the relationship about the other person in the relationship, because that's just the fucking smart thing to do. Talk shit to my wife about me. That
like,
doesn't
listen,
make sense.
baby, that man has my back in every room he stands in.
Not even in the rooms that you're not, and not even in the rooms that you're in.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, there's no way to burn a bridge faster than with me than to say something about Connor and think I'm not going to take his side, because I don't care fucking who you are.
Yeah.
We had a scenario last year where somebody was talking about me to the person I introduced them to and saying, like, I wear the pants, I make the decisions, no wonder, da-da-da-da-da. And luckily the person knows me and Connor extraordinarily well, and she was like, if there's one thing I know for certain, it's that every decision is made in uniform in that house, and they agree on everything. And so where you think that maybe she's got him by the balls there, I assure you,
it was a mutual decision.
Yeah, they just fired you because you suck.
Yeah, typically how that pans out with people.
But yeah, we're so non-problematic that we, like, when we see these situations, we're like, yeah, no, done, cut it. That's not a loss that I'm happy or
and like even to the point too
about.
where it's like it was something good to learn early on in our relationship, because even 6 months ago, somebody new came into our ecosystem here in the gyms, and ever since day one, I'm like, the guy's nice, and I don't get this feeling often or ever, but there was just something weird in my gut that says like, this ain't rubbing me the right way.
Yeah, and it came to fruition.
And it never,
sure enough.
Yeah, and it was never anything where I was like, I can pinpoint this, or like he said this, or he did this, but it was just always something that I would leave conversations and be like, something just doesn't sit right internally with that. And
trust your gut.
6 months later, reality hit, and I was like, okay, my gut was correct. And the first person that knew about it from 6 months ago to that first day was my wife, because it was like, hey, yeah, babe, I gotta tell you about this thing. Yeah,
me and Connor, we're just know. If he knows, I know, vice versa. We look at some couples and we're like, did they just like not talk about that? Like, Connor pretty much knows the inner working of every firing thought in my brain at any given moment.
And that's why we do this as often as we do, because Bluetooth syncs way too fucking frequently.
But yeah, so communication is key, but
dinks for life.
Communication is key.
Communication is key.
Keep your circle small.
Keep your circle small and selective, especially as a couple.
On 3. 1.
Break.
I guess I didn't need to count to 3.
Well, episode 2, that's done and dusted, yapped and yoked. That was another good one. Off to a rough start on that one because somebody was a little brat, and sure, I might have said something. I
probably won't drop the actual fight in the podcast drop, but I'll probably tease it on social media.
I'm sure there'll be a blooper or two about me being an ass and her being a bitch, but whoever.
Listen, at the end of the day, I've never said I'm not a bitch. In fact, most days I come to you and say, I'm really sorry I was mean today. I was hungry. I was tired. I was unrested. And I'm just a bitch. It's in my bloodstream, you know?
You do say that.
It's usually the C word.
Not every time.
Do you want to tell them quickly our rule about the C word?
All right, we'll leave you off with this.
It's really important.
The C word is acceptable in your relationship, but the rule is both parties have to be laughing before and after usage of the C word.
This rule was broken one time.
This rule was broken once. It wasn't bad. Didn't really have any backlash, but I said it and I knew I was like, I missed on that one, didn't I? And she's like, yeah, you did. I was like, okay, cool. So we moved past that.
Yeah.
But
thankfully,
try it out at home, folks. And if there's any words that you guys have in your relationship or in your household that you do or do not use in terms of like little feisty quips or whatnot.
We don't use the D word.
We don't use the D word. Divorce, not dick.
Dick is perfectly acceptable.
Dick is perfectly acceptable. But that's our C word rule. That's our D word rule. What rules do you guys have for words in your household? And we'll leave you off with that.
Like, give me a little whimsy here. I want to know.
Like, subscribe, comment, and on to
Follow.
the next one.
Sell me your soul, touch grass, eat ass. Bye.